I'm going to ask everyone that to get up the sound of the microphones so we can get back to our presentations. Okay, what do you think, Alessandra? Shall we keep going on now? Sure. Okay. So I don't know if Diane, if it's already online.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Diane. How do you do? From the Science Museum, London, UK.
Yes.
So, go on, Diane.
Oh, well, hi, everybody. That was a really interesting last session, and it's a delight to be at the workshop today. Thank you, Joe and Alexandra, for having put all this together. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to talk with such experts. And, well, I first discussed the project. Oh, can I share my screen? Yeah? I think I should try that now.
Yeah. Feel free to share your screen now. It's up there.
Yes, I have
on the right. Yeah. So you can share the screen.
I've got so many work ones open, I have to check it. Sorry. It won't be a moment.
Who doesn't? Yeah. Yeah, great.
Oh.
And you can expand the image down there.
Yes, I can.
Over there, yeah.
Yes,
right.
it was hidden by the pictures of the people, if you see what I mean. There we go. Yep.
Okay.
So I first discussed this project at the November 2024 International Conference on Amulets, and my paper was recently published in the online proceedings. Thank you for everybody who helped me with that. So today I am updating you with the project so far, what we hope will happen in the future, and how you might wish to become involved. I'm, yes, asking for your help on this. We're now applying for a catalyst grant for the HRC, if that means anything to anybody else, but basically more money. So there's a two-pronged attack approach, not an attack, that's far too vicious, isn't it? We're examining the roles of everyday cultural objects in supporting well-being by the personal agency of the user of the amulet itself, and we're analysing amulets principally not from Britain, in British institutional collections, so not just museums, but stately homes, etc., to expand our understanding of how such objects were perceived in terms of well-being and mental health in past cultures. And what I want to do today is to give an example of one strand of our intended approach, one that unites object, use and place and heritage with the owner and their emotions. So here's Brian. Oh, hello, somebody wants to come in. Brian is a retired firefighter from Essex, and there he is in our Dana Centre in the Science Museum, holding up his trusty penknife, which was with him for some 31 years. What has this project to do with the delightful Brian and Claudia who came to meet with me at the Science Museum at the beginning of the month, and whose photo is shown here? Brian had originally written to the Victoria and Albert Museum, that's just over the road from us, about the penknife you can see him holding. It was his faithful companion for over 30 years when he was a fireman based in Essex near London, and he was intrigued by what he called its amuletic properties when he was involved in a very practical and responsible occupation. So the V&A, Kirsten, passed his query to me, and I invited him and his partner to the Science Museum because I was intrigued too, because I felt he'd asked an interesting question. Why do people who regard themselves as rational feel the need for amulets? As you can yes, I apologise for I have switched my slides around at the last minute. So Brian's penknife was an opinel one. It's French. They've been making them in Savoy since 1890. It's still a thriving business. And Brian was so pleased to learn more about that he came to the Science Museum so I could interrogate him further. So what we have is
You're having trouble with something?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Brian's
okay.
lucky penknife. And I joined the... Yes? Did you say something?
No, it's okay. Go on,
Okay,
please.
okay. So he joined the fire service, as you can see here on the screen, in 1979, and he was told to purchase a pocket knife. So he bought this French model because it locks securely in position, and he had no thought of its talismanic properties, or as he calls them that, in any of his early years. But he says, as he progressed, he realized the knife in his pocket. Putting the knife in his pocket was not only second nature, but very important to me whenever I put on my uniform. And it was in his pocket constantly. So they're all required to carry a penknife, as well as a great deal of other equipment. And it was only gradually that Brian realized how important the knife felt to his sense of well-being. When a senior officer came to his watch and asked all the men and women to turn out their pockets, every firefighter, everyone, he said, had a lucky item, a golf ball, a lipstick, even a BMW badge, a lucky wing nut even. They were told to get rid of this rubbish. But every single one of his team refused to get rid of their lucky items, and Brian backed up his team. He was watch leader and said these lucky items worked. The senior officer's order was quietly ignored. The chief, Brian thought, over the senior officer, had probably told him to concentrate on more important issues. Brian felt that the whole team felt increased camaraderie by them all having these lucky objects. And he summed his feelings up as, if you asked me if I was superstitious, I would want to say no. I'm a practical man. The truth is, I am superstitious, and those superstitions were vital in a practical career. Oh, sorry. So, having chatted about the penknife, Brian and Claudia came with me to the Faith Open Fear galleries, and I examined the table exhibit with them of small amulets, which I'm showing above. Not the best quality photograph, sorry. It's got lucky charms, animal origin, birth protections, child protections. The items range from BC to World War I. And this idea that superstition and practicality goes back a long way was something that Brian and Claudia were quick to point out. We discussed how they would have captioned some of these items if they had had the chance to find out more about them. They agreed to be participants if the Respect project goes ahead, to correlate stories from other firefighters and liaise with the Emergency Services Museum in Sheffield. The chance to interrogate an object and its owner and have the owners be willing to collect more information is very rare. It's exactly the sort of engagement with material, culture and people that we want to interrogate and examine when being part of a participatory action research project, and also find out how being part of that project stimulates well-being. Brian's willingness to speak to other retired and active firefighters is a practical and supportive way of participating in the project. We are planning other strands, many other strands, to the Respect project, but this short narrative about Brian and his penknife, I hoped fitted with the ArchaeoLore timings, and we would want to ask if a panel of global archaeologists would help identify and discuss some of the items that crop up in our participants' research. And we would hope to be able to pay people for their time on this. If this is something people would wish to be involved with, perhaps you'd contact me or we could discuss it. I do hope I can look forward to your aid on this project on well-being, sensitivity and sustainability. And it's also all about the heritage as well. And I would really welcome your aid. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane. What very interesting presentation. Thank you so much. Guess we are
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Going to get back to this one later. So now, please, Stephen Cameron. Yeah, Stephen.
Hello. Welcome from a very wintry Austria. My name's Stephen Cameron. I'm a landscape researcher with Antrim County Archaeological Society. Very strange, considering County Antrim is in Northern Ireland. I'm originally from County Antrim. I now am married and living in Austria, just on the Czech border. I've been a landscape researcher with Antrim County Archaeological Society for almost 30 years. Over that time period, we have identified dozens of new sites, some of them officially recorded, others on the waiting list, so to speak. Perhaps the one of the ones we're better noted for was the rediscovering the site of the Larne Viking burial, a burial site on the foreshore at Larne Harbour, the entrance to Larne Loch. For years, researchers had placed it here, there, and everywhere. We knew for years where the location was, and we knew because of local historian from the time in the 1840s, 1850s, knew where the burial, exactly where the burial was discovered, and had give lectures in the local town hall about it. We had known that had passed down local traditions and stuff throughout years. So we started a research program with it, and we pinpointed the spot fairly accurately on the promenade at Larne Harbour. That site has now been officially recognised by government officials, and the local council have erected a plaque giving a brief history of the Norse Viking activity in Larne Loch. We have a paper published in that there. It's available in JSTOR or Academia. That led on to questions by a small team of our society members. What do we know about Larne Loch? Small sea inlet. It's about 6 miles long, a mile wide at the widest. An intertidal sea inlet. I said there's nothing worth looking at in Larne Loch, quite simply because I was basing my statement on the official site and monument records, and one site within the intertidal zone was recognised, and it was 2 ships' cannons, Tudor period ship cannons that were found. Nothing else was noted. It's a barren seascape, particularly in the southern end of the loch. Salt marsh, reed beds, nothing that would be of particular interest to anybody. So it was agreed among ourselves, a small team of researchers in 2019, that we would apply what we believe to be our technique of research, which involves grey literature, any published literature we can get our hands on, maps, historic maps, satellite imagery, old newspaper clippings about what was happening at the time. So with a small team pulled all this together, and we decided we would allow 6 months for the Larnloch Archaeological Survey. 6 years later, and the research is still going on, and we just could not believe what we were discovering. This is rewriting Irish history on a large scale, but it's not just Irish history, it's actually rewriting Scottish history as well. Larnloch is 20 miles from the Scotland coast, and the sites that we're discovering in Larnloch, we've discovered what we believe, again, all these sites need to be ground truthed. They have all officially been reported. The 1995 archaeological order means that we have to officially report them. They were all reported in 2021. Some of them are creeping on to the site and monument record. Others, these things take time. We started at the very bottom of the loch, and within the first day we found a fish trap. 2 rows of wooden posts stretching across the Slaughterford River where it enters at the south. We spoke with a dendrochronologist. They're impossible because of the size of the posts. It's nearly impossible to get a dendrochronology date off it. We could probably look at C14 or something like that, but again, our research finishes that we've identified the site. We know it's a fish trap or a weir. 100 yards north of that, there's a long linear of probably posts. We can't get a close enough look at them, which is the leader guiding the fish into the trap. Heading north up, we come across a causeway. This big stone causeway, 7 meters wide, 300 meters across the loch, connecting a small peninsula of Island McGee with the mainland at Red Hall, Townland, Macromorn. Again, we have known about this and no attention was paid to it. It shows you when you do focus a lot of attention on a thing, just what comes about. Just a causeway, probably an old road or something, leading from the mainland to the peninsula, Island McGee. 100 meters north of that there, we come across another similar large stone feature enclosing a small triangular bay. We believe that the two of them are of the same date, the same style of structure and stuff. And the second feature we've identified, we believe, is a tidal mill. North of that, again, we found a large stone fish trap, probably contemporary with the tidal mill as well. The only other site in Northern Ireland that we could sort of look to is for a similarity is 15 miles from Larnloch, and it's in Strangford Loch, the Nendrum tidal mill. All the sizes, the features, everything is, it certainly looks the part. And again, with the Nendrum tidal mill, they have a monastic site nearby. We have also a monastic site nearby at Larnloch. When it ceased to be a monastery, we don't know, but it certainly continued as a local parish church. Just across the loch from that, there is a large boat shelter, very, very similar to those that have been identified in Scotland and Scandinavia. Why I say Scandinavia is because the Larne Loch in 1210 was documented as being called Wulfric's Fjord, which is an Old Norse name. We know we have the Larne Viking burial, we have Scandinavian Norse Viking place names. We also believe that that large boat nest is connected to a natural D-shaped enclosure, which may be a Norse Viking settlement and camp. Now, it's tongue-in-cheek that I say it may be a Norse settlement, considering that there's none has been found outside of Dublin, Waterford, Wexford, the typical places that you think. And the reason behind that is probably because nobody's went to look for one. You know, that could be the obvious one. But it would be brave of me saying it's a Norse Viking camp with a large boat nest attached. But we have documentary evidence that places the Norse people at that particular point in Larne Loch. Again, it's from grey literature, it's from a historian. The same lecture that he gave about the Larne Viking burial. So we have no reason not to believe that he was a worthy source of his information. He was obviously a very read and learned man in his day. Among that there, as if that's not sort of enough to be going with, we believe that we're looking at an early medieval landscape, monastic landscape. Most of the features seem to, the early features, the tidal mill, the causeway, which the positioning of the causeway is very interesting because if it was only a causeway connecting the peninsula to the mainland.
Sorry, Stephen, I'm going to ask you to finish because so we don't run out of time, please.
Okay,
Thank
no
you.
problem. There is always that danger that I can go on. We can never portray everything about the Larne Loch survey, but hopefully we'll maybe get a chance to do a presentation sometime, just so you see how important this landscape is, not just for Ireland, but for the movement of the second generation Irish monks moving into Scotland, and the Columba, St. Congal, and the great Iona fame. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thank you.
And so now we have Bożena.
Yes.
Am I saying this correctly? Okay, Bożena, how do you do? From University of Warsaw, Poland. So,
Kardynał Wyszyński, University of Warsaw is different one, but okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation and the possibility to share my investigation about stone monument called Baba. I would like to speak about this, and if I can, I also share my presentation, okay? For a moment, wow. Okay. Just a moment, please. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's okay. So click on the button below so you can widen the presentation.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So let's have a start. I will talk about Belarusian and Polish borderland, especially in southern Podlasie, which is one of the most interesting ethnographical place, subregion, because since centuries live there Eastern and Western Christianity, side by side with Protestants, Muslims, Polish Tatars, and followers of Judaism, of course, until Second World War. As a borderland, this is really important, still important, a very interesting place. So in my presentation, of course, I haven't time to tell more about this place, but I would like focus on this monument called Baba. We can see this Baba. So usually the clergy seeks to interpret this object as stone crosses. And this interpretation is in conflict with local oral tradition, and the communities understand of this object completely different. So they were associated with local legends that refer to the girl or woman who always was cast and turned into the stone. They are also surrounded by taboo, suggesting that they should not be moved. For example, in Nepal, this one is Nepal, there is a belief that if stone Baba comes close to the river, it will be end of the world. Stone Baba in southern Podlasia are relatively rare, but in their occurrences becomes more frequent in Belarus. This suggests their Eastern origin. In my opinion, they should be distinguished from stone crosses, which are quite commonly found both in Poland and Belarus. Those crosses were erected for a variety of intention and purpose. So we can base it on the analysis of the medieval sources. Stone crosses serve various functions, like a funeral, local marks, like a boundaries or settlement of roads or other borders, commemorative, votive, thanksgivings, apotropaic, magical practice, decorative, even that decorative also we can find in the modern time. But in Western Poland, in Middle Age, there are also attempted crosses, usually carved with the weapon or tool used in the crime. So they are different from this is stone crosses, what we can meet in Belarus, also in very similar in Poland. And they are also different from object called Prussian Baba, node of northern Poland, which most often depict male figures, but also certain figures depicted in different convention. They're also different that this kind of object from nomadic people refer to as Balbal, which in Mongolian means father, ancestor, and also called Baba. But this Baba term, according to the Russian researchers, representative of transformation, the original name into the Russian terminology. So it's the more correct is Balbal. We should also, this is Balbal, and we should also be distinguished from stone idols, which have retained anthropomorphic feature partially, like this we can see in Voskrzenice, this is ears, and in this part is destroyed, but we can see this is a cross with this rectangular form. So due to the devastation, according to Christianity, we don't know, of course, and this kind of symbol of these crosses with this rectangular shape, we can also meet on the other red stones, usually on the forest or in the different place. So, yeah, usually when we see a stone Baba, what is characteristic for them is local legends always connected with woman or girl. Is also this narrative is about the crusade and turn into the stone, and usually made always in Poland in red glacial stone. Acceptation, the crosses over the outlines in child in relief, also in grief crosses. In some places, they were in some cases still are object of religious schools, and this we can meet on Belarus. We can see this object like here, and we can see also the cult of this stone girl. It's especially important in Easter time. This is songs of resurrection. People are prayed to Baba. Baba are decorated with flying towers, aprons, and beads. Members also bring for her money and clothes, flowers as offering. Offerings usually is connected with women. And so we can see this samples Baba from which they always was connected in Belarus, like with stone idols. But when I make this research, and especially with Professor Ina Szwed in Belarus too, nobody called the stone idols, but Baba with these crosses. This is characteristic also. So what about interpretation? So stone Baba could be identified like a pagan idols. Sometimes we can see graduality Christianity over time according to crosses covered on them, like here we can see. Stone Babas as crosses, some researchers say that these crosses associated with boundaries and places important to the community, later linked to Christian symbols, and some objects, Stone Baba marks with child in relief, like here we can see, and monograms. So the monograph is ES and Theokos. So in my hypothesis, it could be possible to have another hypothesis that Stone Baba could represent Godmother, resembling icons of Oranta type, sometimes depicted with Christ. Icons, this name type in Białoruś znamiennie. And this is very interesting about Mariological cult. So when we look for a Mariology, it's very, very strong. It's still in rural community cults, but when we look the Mariology in the historical perspective, it is highly developed in Byzantium. And after the Ottoman conquest, many members of the culture undertook missionary activity. Some of them reached Podlasie, including Suprać, it's not far away from Babas also, bring with them religious tradition and knowledge rooted from Byzantium world. Culture of Virgin Mary was not limited to the circles, to these circles, of course, in remained particularly strong for centuries among rural communities, what I just pinpoint. As late as the 17th century, the Eastern Christian Church was referred to as Our Lady, as noted here Glatowski. However, the intensive of Marian devotion in rural areas may have raised concern among church authorities about the dominance of Mariology over Christology. This is a term may be linked to periodically ambivalence or even negative attitudes toward representation of Godmother, despite his widespread veneration. From historical perspective, Orthodox Christian theologist Nikos Nistoyustos wrote that we regard that we have not always treated Marian devotion with due respect and of Marian devotion as one of the most authentic and representative elements of the Eastern Christian tradition, serve unique spirituality and the building of genuine ecumenical brotherhood. So we have still many questions, and I still looking at some more possibility to find the way to study this subject, but I think it's very interesting. I will be very, very grateful for your suggestion and help. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bożena. I must say that since your first photograph of the crosses, it reminded me of gingerbread cookies, but that's because I'm having sweet tooth right now. Okay. Sorry, but reminded me gingerbread cookies. So I don't know if it's okay for everyone to make a short break, or do you want to discuss anything right now? So we can go for a 5 minutes or 6 minutes discussion. So if anyone has any comments to make, so Katarina, go on. I'm going to ask you, Božina, to cut your presentation now, please.
I just want to say that there is a, Alexandra, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a recording of the Katya's webinar about, she was talking about Babas as well, because this is a tradition that is also spread in our region, so not in the region that I was showing, but a little bit to the west, so in the Karst region, and it is traditionally connected to early Slav appearance of in the region, but she was also arguing that some of those traditions go far beyond that period, and yeah, this is definitely connected with female principle, fertility, and a lot more things going on. So maybe you can take a look on the ArchaeoLore site and watch her webinar, because I think that will help you a lot.
Thank you so
really
much.
a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've shared the link to the page of the ArchaeoLore where is Katya's webinar to everyone in the chat, so you can
Thank you so much.
can take a look. But I was looking, we have similar carving stones in Portugal, and we have, right, as well.
So yeah,
Yeah,
this
for
may
sure.
be a lot older tradition than Christianity, definitely, and in wider space.
Yeah, because I was looking at the pictures and I was trying to remember the archaeological places in Portugal, because I have studied the called stelas, the so-called stelas in prehistory, and I remember seeing very similar carving stones to some of the image. So it's interesting to be this connection and being so far away in space. But if I look at them, I will send you again.
Okay,
I will
thank
send you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Can I say something else to
Of course,
Stephen?
of course.
Okay, about the fish traps. So are you sure that this is early medieval, or this? Put on the mic, please.
Stephen, you're on mute. Oh, great.
The first fish trap identified in the extreme south of the loch, it could be any date. We do not know.
Because the way you described it, the construction of the fish trap, this reminds me very much about Zamosti. I don't know if you know that. It's in Russia. It's north of St. Petersburg, or somewhere around St. Petersburg. This is a Mesolithic site. So we're talking about 10,000, 12,000 years ago. And they have found the full fish traps, the whole site, it was a site where they were catching fish, large fish, and processing fish, and so on. This is published. I can send you the publication. It's in English. So that's why I was, and maybe about the radiocarbon dates. Maybe don't focus so much on the pillars. If you have some kind of smaller construction with branches and so on, so it's much better to use the branch than to use the trunk, because you have to have the outer part of the trunk to be sure when you can date the tree.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you have a center part, then it can be everything like 500, 600, or even more years earlier than you're supposed to have the date.
The amazing thing, and 6 years on, and I'm still amazed at the state of preservation of the monuments in the south of the loch. We know in the 1930s there was a geologist had an interest in the loch, and whether he dug test trenches or there was some sort of work going on at the time, but he inspected 3 or 4 areas along the beach, and he tells us that about 2 foot 9 inches below the surface of the silt, he came across a peat layer with hazel branches and hazelnut kernels, both fossilized and not fossilized. So there's various other examples there. We come across, it's actually officially recorded now, a large shell midden.
Yeah, of course.
Which is
I was about to ask about shell middens.
a large
I was
shell
about to ask
midden.
that.
It was described in the 1860s by a geologist, and he says that the sheer size and depth of it, he couldn't even get to the bottom of it.
This must be prehistoric. This is not.
It has to be prehistoric.
It has to be prehistoric. And that was my second question, because of the fish traps, because those two things probably go together.
The state of preservation, I would be scared to take a guess at the wooden fish trap. The stone fish trap is probably, given its close proximity to the tidal mill, it's probably associated with the tidal mill, and we're probably looking at a date going by monastic, ecclesiastical, the old Irish annals, which is a great source. We're probably looking, I would say, 6th, 7th century for the stone fish trap. We have a specialist in fish traps, and he's quite happy with it too. It's in around that period, and it's probably associated with the tidal mill and tidal barrier. So there's been remains of on quite numerous occasions. There's been remains of Irish elk have come to the surface in the loch as well. Well, the general accepted date for the Irish elk is, say, at least 10,000 years old. So we have we can sort of picture the landscape of what the loch was like. You have your the giant Irish deer, the Irish elk running about. You have the hazel shrubs. You can sort of nearly get a picture of what the landscape was like if you use your imagination. I have a great imagination.
But it is also important to note that at the beginning of Holocene, or around that time, there was a very abrupt change of seawater level. So you have a Doggerland submerged areas between. So the isles were then separated from the mainland, European mainland. So we are talking about major shift in climate, major shift in environmental conditions, and adaptation, very rapid adaptation of the population, Paleolithic, Mesolithic populations to a new environment, a new situation. So what you describe, I would say this is much older than the 6th century, or even the.
Sorry, colleagues. I feel awful to interrupt, but we can get back to this
Yeah, okay,
later.
okay,
So,
yeah.
okay, if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
yeah.
Stephen. Sorry, it's the
It's
second
You're
time.
okay. You're okay.
It's the second time I interrupt you.
You're
Sorry.
okay. Not an issue.
But we should stay to the timings, and I don't know if anyone wants to make another break, because I'm going to interrupt the recording. If you guys liked, you can download the first part. It's already on the chat. I'm going to divide this so the files don't get bigger. So I'm going to interrupt for 3-4 minutes so we can get our refills, and we get back in for 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, if you agree,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to interrupt the recording now.